So which one of you was going to tell me that you could get watches cheaper on Amazon? This watch is $165 on the Timex website and only $120 on Amazon with free delivery? Okay, let me calm down. I'm going to start from the beginning. Yeah, unboxing this was very disappointing. As usual, brands like Timex and Seiko, I feel like they rest on the fact that they are well known and use that as an excuse to not wrap and prepare watches properly. I will come back to what issues this has caused later in the video. When I buy my 70, £100, £150 watches from Mercure and other AliExpress brands, it comes protected. It comes covered in whatever plastic it needs to be. It comes in hardened cases, zipped up, secure. It takes a while to get into that thing. This box, that's it. It didn't even have whatever that protective film is over the front of the watch. It didn't even have that. And the sad thing is that I know that brands will never go back to a time where they protected it like that because they just know that we'll keep buying them. At least I can say for those AliExpress Chinese brands that people seem to hate, not me, at least I can say for them, they give you stuff that is safe in transit. Now, what I didn't expect is that this watch might be something I wear every single day. As you can tell, I sometimes and quite often wear brown. The trainers I wear every day are brown, and something else on me is also brown. So this kind of matches pretty well. I think from the images, I expected it to be a bit more thick and look kind of strange as watch case shapes tend to go. But I was pleasantly surprised with how thin it is and how sleek it is and how light it is, most importantly. I definitely started off with my collection thinking heavy must mean quality, and while there may be an element of truth to that, I'm starting to see the benefit with a watch that isn't heavy, because it does get, I don't know what the word is, awkward to wear on a daily when the watch is heavy and weighing you down. So this, I think my favorite thing about it, other than its aesthetic design, is how light it is. It feels like I'm not wearing it, and while I've heard people say that before, I've not yet connected with it until now. This watch is serious in its size, but playful in its shape, vintage in its design, but modern in its finishing. We'll get to that dial later. Now, features on the dial, we'll look at lume. It's okay, nothing to write home about, runs out pretty quickly, and it's weak anyway. Yeah. And in terms of the hour markers, I do feel like there's a bit too much going on around the edge of the dial. It's good to have hour markers, but these are like double hour markers. We have the minute track and we have these lume dots around the hour markers. They're each good features, but I don't know if we needed all three. I definitely think the lume dots could go, and I could take or leave the minute track, and I think I'd prefer it if the hour markers were single rather than double. At 165, I think I would have been a bit upset that this wasn't a mechanical movement, but for the 100 or 120 pounds I paid for it, I'm fine with the quartz. Not only do I think these lume dots are a bit too much, but I think the color, the yellow of it clashes with this dial for me. I feel like they should have been white. Editing Kim here, I want to point out something I don't think I've ever seen before. So when I was scripting this, it was based on the fact that I would assume I missed that the hour markers were kind of yellow instead of white. So then when I went onto the Timex website to grab a screenshot of the blue one, where I was pretty sure I had seen it white, I noticed this. See how this one is yellow except for the others? That strongly indicates to me that they know this looks yellow and they're trying to hide it by editing it out. It's not a good look and kind of signifies to me that you cannot always trust the images that come from the Timex website. I know this is a very negative review, but what we will learn today is that 7 bad, minute points can be outweighed by 1 or 2 amazing good points. Just be patient. So in conjunction with the quartz movement, we have the day and date complication. Yeah, worst experience ever. This was a nightmare. Turns out, pulling the crown out at the half position does set the date, but the day can only be set, get this, by winding the hour hand until you get to the day you need. So if this watch arrives to you set for Sunday and it's currently Thursday, enjoy. Yes, you have to wind the hour hand 8 times to get to Thursday, and yes, there's no way around it. What made my experience better was realizing that you can do this backwards, which is pretty cool, but still not better than what I'm used to. So if this watch arrives to you set for Thursday and it's Tuesday, you can wind the hour hand back 2 full days to get to Tuesday. But that brings me on to quality control. Not great with this watch. It wasn't really clear that that system is what you needed. So when I did try and do the half pull backwards rotation to set the day, it kind of flickered, as you can see on screen now, which led me to believe the watch was broken. I was this close to packing it up and sending it back. Not that packing it up would have taken me much time, but something said to me, I don't know if Timex could ever be this bad. So I YouTubed it, and it turns out, no, that's just how this watch works. You have to use the hour hand to set it. And I don't know if that's linked to the quartz of the mechanism, or if this is just how Timex do their day and date setting. I hope it isn't, because I think it's horrible. And then following on from that quality control issue, we have one of the main ones, which is that there's a scratch on this lug. Now look, let's be real. I'm gonna scratch it up tomorrow anyway. All the scratches I add, this one will blend in. But to have it in the box come scratched, wild, absolutely wild. And I cannot help but think to the fact that it's not protected in transit and say, that must be it. Now, quite frankly, one of the only good features this watch has seems to overshadow everything else, and that is the aesthetics of the main case shape and that dial. Now, the Falcon Eye range, you know, it looks fantastic, I must say. I just got it. I think I got it. I've been absolutely trying to figure out why it's called the Falcon Eye range, and I think I just figured it out. I'm going to put a comment right here in text to say whether or not I'm right about this, but I think this is named the Falcon Eye because when you rotate the watch, it kind of looks like the eye of a falcon. Like the circular bezel part looks like the pupils, and then the whole case looks like the whole eye. Maybe I'm wrong. Now, this is the view from the top, and this is the view from the side. I think from the top, the integration of the bracelet into the case looks fantastic. To the side, it doesn't look as great, but it's definitely permissible for me. But the case shape is truly unique as far as I can tell. It's quite close to a Seiko King I've seen, but still this has its own DNA very clearly. I think the domed crystal feeds nicely into the curvature of the case, especially from the side. And like I said before, I do think this has vintage elements and modern elements that feed into each other quite nicely. The dial reminds me of seaweed. That's what my mind goes to straight away, literally, especially with the blue and green versions of this. And I like both of those versions as well, but I realized there were no other reviews for this brown one, so I thought I'd fill that need. Not to mention, I wear brown a lot, so this would go with a lot of clothes that I have. The dial has this amazing, I don't know if the word is fluorescent or incandescent or some other essence where it kind of changes reflection as you move it, but that's a beautiful feature. And one of the things I do love about the color chosen is that it's on the darker side. I tend to feel like brighter colors look cheap and they look kind of immature on watches. So I do like the fact that this does have its bright moment at the perfect angle, but for the most part, it does look very dark. It kind of feels like the dial, like a person, kind of need to ask it questions to know it on a deeper level. Bars. So, you know, I think we can all relate to having watches that we like and know that we like them because to an untrained eye, it looks pretty mundane. But to those of us who know the secrets, we know that a watch hides something beautiful. I think that's what this watch has. Again, I'm astounded by what is achievable in the affordable price range for a dial, because again, as much as this will ruffle some feathers, if this kind of dial was put on a $10,000 watch, I wouldn't know the difference. Let's not act like an AP Royal Oak dial doesn't look the same as a Tissot PRX dial. So if somebody switched those dials, you wouldn't know the difference. Needless to say, I think this kind of timeless neo-vintage look is great because it would go with kind of anything. As you can see in some of the B-roll, I can wear this with my puffer coat and my nylon trousers. I could also wear this with a suit, as I have done already. So yeah, that's it for this review. I thoroughly enjoy this watch, and for less than £120, it was definitely a bargain. As much as I rambled on about negative things, I do not regret this purchase. I think I will get the green and the blue at some point. So yeah, that's the review. The Timex Q Falcon Eye in brown.